What's going on, guys? This is Dave Heilman, a.k.a. Dynasty Dorks. This is the SGPN Fantasy Football Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, brought to you by Bet365. Bet365 is offering new users a $1,000 risk-free bet. Sign up today at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/bet365. We're also brought to you by Hall of Fame Bets, the sports betting research platform for parlays, player props, and game lines. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app or visit hofbets.com. Use code SGPN to get 50% off your first month and start making smarter bets today. We're also brought to you by Game Time. Game Time has last-minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. Use promo code CFBX for $20 off your first purchase. We are back. It's Week 10. Fantasy football playoffs are right around the corner. It's time to make that last effort, and at this point, you're looking at trade deadlines coming up. You're looking at either I'm going in, see you next year. And so depending on where you're at, we have a few different trades for you, and we're really going to get straight into it. And so the first guy that I want to bring to the table as a buy, seems like everybody has been kind of waiting for this to happen, waiting for for this guy to turn into a pumpkin. Cinderella, it's over. Brock Purdy, and it's been a rough few weeks for Brock Purdy. And I get it. It's not been good. And if you asked a month ago when he had prime time and looked like Joe Montana out there, everybody was happy. But they were very quick to jump ship. And let's lay out what happened. This guy lost Trent Williams. He lost Deebo Samuel. He got concussed. Somehow was allowed to play 4 days later. Possibly got concussed again. Well, he was concussed and it let him finish the game, by the way. And that added to his turnovers. And so he had 5 of his interceptions after the concussion. And now he gets the bye week. He was, taking care of the harvest, working the farm last week. Deebo's coming back. Trent Williams is coming back. Brock Purdy is a buy. I actually bought him in one of our leagues today. And he's got a great schedule. He's got great weapons. And I'm really excited for Brock Purdy the rest of the season. And now's the time to buy. You don't buy him after that primetime game on Monday night when everybody is going, man, Brock Purdy is so good. Trey Lance is so bad. That's not when you go open up the checkbook, because then people say, yeah, I want 2 firsts and you're one night with your girlfriend, according to Reddit. If you haven't seen that, let me know. But apparently some guy was offered Tony Pollard one night with the guy's wife for Christian McCaffrey, and he wanted to know if he should accept. But Brad, what are your thoughts on Brock Purdy before you bring your guy to the table?
I don't hate it. It all depends on price for me, because Brock Purdy, we've talked about him for a long time. He's not a guy that's going to go out and win you a week. For the longest time, he was one of those 202 guys. We saw a couple monster games from him this year, and you're thinking, okay, maybe there's more of that, but he's kind of come back down to earth. So for me, I'm not paying for Brock Purdy to be a top 12 quarterback option. If I can get him at QB2 prices and plug him into my flex and just live with that nice baseline, I'm okay with that. But it all depends. So let's go through a couple options for the price and see if it makes sense. Would you give up a 2024 first for Brock Purdy?
Yeah, a back end. Not an early first. I would take a back end first for him. Yeah.
Okay. Would you move Brock Purdy for a first and a 2025 second?
If it's a late first and a late second, then yes.
Okay.
If it's a mid-first, mid-second, probably not.
Okay, and then here's an interesting one for me, and I feel like it's a little lopsided in my opinion, but would you move Dak Prescott? Would you rather have Dak Prescott and Cooper Kupp or Brock Purdy and Devontae Adams? And this was yesterday.
Oof. Yeah, you get the younger quarterback and then the older receiver. Well, they're both older receivers, so
Yep.
um, yeah, that is a tough one. I'm gonna go Adams and Purdy, but it's a pretty interesting deal. The only younger guy in it is Purdy.
And we'll do one more here because I think this is another quite possible situation for you Kirk Cousins owners out there. Would you rather have Brock Purdy and a third or Kirk Cousins and a first?
I'll take Brock Purdy in the third.
Okay. There you go. So you're definitely in the Purdy camp. I'd struggle with some of these. Because while no, you're not paying 2, 3 firsts for a top tier quarterback option, depending on where those firsts are, I may find myself in the 5, 6 range and be able to get a CJ Stroud as we did this year, in the later first half of the first round. So I think the upside in the middle of that first round is a little bit higher than what we're going to get out of Brock Purdy. So
It depends on where they are. Like I said,
yeah,
I think for every one of those, if it was an early first, I wouldn't do it. But like, I don't know if there is it's not really the same quarterback class, Jamie. What's going on, man? And I mean, just a few weeks ago, Matt Stafford was a late first from somebody I know. And so I would have had Purdy over Stafford for sure.
Yep, for sure. All right. I mentioned CJ Stroud. He's going to be the guy that I'm bringing up here. And look, he's currently the Dynasty QB 10, according to DLF. You go and you look at PFF. If you're that kind of guy, he's kind of the number 12 rated quarterback by PFF, but he's got some statistics that are pretty legit. He's third in yards per attempt at 8.1 yards. So I'm like, man, that's pretty high just in general. I want to go back and look. You have to go all the way back to 2017 to find a rookie who has a larger yards per attempt than CJ Stroud does right now through half of the 2023 season. And that was Deshaun Watson with the Houston Texans in 2017. It's massive. And then when you take that and you couple 14 touchdowns to 1 interception, this guy could very well be on track to break Justin Herbert's rookie touchdown record of 31 passing touchdowns in a rookie season. And I'm riding this wave, and I'm trying to get on the wave before it becomes one that everybody's fighting to get onto. So right now, I'm going to give you a couple trades. We'll see if maybe I'm a little crazy. Would you rather have CJ Stroud or Kyler Murray?
Stroud.
I'm on the Stroud side. Would you rather have CJ Stroud or Dak Prescott and a 2023 third?
2023 third, 2024 third?
I'm sorry, 2024 third. Yeah.
Yeah. This is all Stroud. Easy.
Yeah. Like that is not a lot of price, a lot of cost to go and get a super young, what looks to be solid quarterback in a system that ain't changing. Like that coaching staff in Houston has that team playing very well, and all they're going to do is continue to add pieces around him, build the offensive line, give him more weapons to throw to, whether you try to find a more dynamic tight end than Dalton Schultz, or you add some more pieces to the outside to complement Tank Dell and Nico Collins, or maybe John Mechie comes to fruition a little bit. Maybe they add some explosiveness into the backfield to help Dameon Pierce and Devin Singletary. There's a lot that you can kind of see. The team is rallying around DeMeco Ryans and that offense, and I really, really like what I'm seeing. So for the price right now, I think you have to go buy CJ Stroud before it starts to spike.
Yeah, and I will say that I don't know like when those prices happened, but the big game this weekend was that I mean, I don't know who's selling CJ Stroud. If you go knocking on the door, you may just get nobody answering it. Stroud's going to be hard to get right now, but if you can get him for those prices, sign me up. Like I'm upset that I traded CJ Stroud plus a second to go get Anthony Richardson right now, and so Stroud's definitely, he's my Superflex 101. And so I'm really high on him. And another thing that I'm high on, it's Bet365. We're brought to you by Bet365. Bet365 is the world's favorite sportsbook, trusted by over 88 million players worldwide. Props, sides, totals, live betting. Bet365 has you covered. And if you like boosts, you're gonna love Bet365. Like a 30% profit boost on your NFL same game parlay. Yep, sign me up. Plus, they have even early payouts offer if your team goes up to 17 points. Sign up today and choose from 2 bonus offers, either $1,000 first bet safety net or bet 5 and get $150 in bonus bets. Just head to sportsgamblingpodcast.com /bet365. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com /bet365. Problem gambling, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Yeah, and I want to talk about one of the newer daily fantasy sports platforms, and that is going to be Prize Picks. So with Prize Picks, if you want to play alongside some of your favorite players and celebrities like rapper Meek Mill and comedian Andrew Schultz, you can find them on the Community Plays tab under the Promos tab of the app to view entries from some of the biggest names in the Prize Picks community each week. The even better thing about Prize Picks is they're the only platform that offers what's called a reboot policy. So let's just say your entries get hurt. Your player gets hurt and they don't come back in. They give you the opportunity to reboot that play in your Prize Picks lineup with no strings attached. If you have that player who exits a game in the first half and does not return in the second, the player is then rebooted, and they are the only platform that allows you to do that. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to go to prizepicks.com /SGPN and use our promo code SGPN for a first deposit match of up to $100. Again, that's prizepicks.com /SGPN.
And don't forget about Underdog Fantasy. I'm playing it tonight. Makes the game that is really not exciting a little bit more fun. And I'm going to go with Chuba Hubbard, 40.5 rushing yards. I'm taking the higher. Underdog has a way to play alongside your favorite fantasy players all season long. NFL, NBA, NHL, college basketball, and college football. Simply pick higher or lower on a player's fantasy stats and cash in. Like I said, I'm taking Chuba's 40.5 higher. It's obviously his backfield, not Miles Sanders right now, and he gets the Bears. So watch along and make your picks and maybe make a little cash over on Underdog's mobile app or website, underdogfantasy.com. And when you sign up with promo code SGPN, Underdog will double your first deposit up to $200. That's Underdog Fantasy, promo code SGPN. We're back. And so, yeah, if you guys can go trade for CJ Stroud, do it. Jamie almost tricked me into saying Deshaun Watson there. No, we're not trading for him. And so, Brad, I'm going to trade. I'm going to give you a smaller, a cheaper option, and then a bigger option. It's really is difficult to trade anything for running backs, especially high-priced running backs in Dynasty, because we know how fast things can change. But a guy that I really think that people should invest in, it's Breece Hall. Breece Hall is really this offense is really struggling right now, and it's your time to buy. This guy exploded week 1. I thought, oh, he's just going to do it again. No, he slowed down a little bit, and part of that is just because this offense is just so meh under Zach Wilson. Aaron Rodgers coming back next year. They'll have somebody else, if not Aaron Rodgers. And so I am going to and Jamie, I think it's only 58.5 rushing and receiving over on Underdog. So go check that out. It's much lower. I'm gonna go Breece Hall, but a smaller, cheaper option. This is a guy that I was really wanted to buy before the trade deadline because I thought he was going to see a spike and he didn't. It's Tyjae Spears, and so Tyjae Spears I think could easily be the lead back or get a large share of the work next year. Derrick Henry is older; he's a free agent next year. And he's going to be 30. So I'm going to go with Tyjae Spears. Think he's a nice, cheap buy. I'll throw another bonus one in there, Mr. Zach Charbonnet. Brad.
So let's talk Tyjae Spears. trades that we've seen go down over the course. There's some older ones, so we'll say within the last week, we'll say. So Tyjae Spears or Cole Kmet?
Spears, unless I really, really need a tight end.
All right. Tyjae Spears and a 2024 third or Rashad White?
Oof. Yeah, I'm probably going to go Rashad White. I'm assuming you're using him this year. But yeah, that seems like you're paying you're like paying ahead for production. You're not getting it now.
You're projecting a little bit there. Okay, how about Tyjae Spears and Luke Musgraves for a 2026 first and a 2025 second?
No. No. I mean, I get it. It's 3 years out. But when that 26 draft comes, you're really going to be pissed.
Yeah, exactly.
Draft on Spears and Musgrave. Like, these guys must have been like, all right, Henry's out of town. I'm buying him now. And so, like, you don't play premium prices. And, like, when you're projecting, you have to be safe about it.
Yep.
Like, you got to hedge your bet a little bit. Like, if you paid a second, I would be like, that's too much. A first and a second, and you're only adding Musgrave to it, like, get out of here.
There's a bunch of like 4 for $5 and stuff like that. You know, there's one in here with him in a package deal to get Jamar Chase. Like some of these that are going to be too hard to evaluate on air. But I want to do one more. Now, this one is a little over a week old. Would you rather have Kyren Williams or Tyjae Spears?
I'm going to go with Kyren. We've seen it, but that's a good one. See, what I'm thinking is if you got an extra third, extra something like that, you can just grab Tyjae and stash them. But this is a perfect target to go like, hey, Brad, you're a contender. You need some RB depth. Here's a Gus Edwards, Kareem Hunt, those kind of players where you're moving some of these veterans that they're giving zero value next year. And I'm taking them because Rashad White, like, yeah, I think he's easily replaced next year. But what if he's not? Yep. What if Tyjae Spears doesn't get the lead role? Like, I feel like you're not doing it.
It's interesting because there's some other ones. If you go a little bit further back, a little bit further than a week, would you rather have Rashee Rice or Tyjae Spears? Now you're getting into that. Yeah, it's a little bit closer, right?
Yeah.
Dameon Pierce or Tyjae Spears?
Damien's so bad. I'm going to take Tyjae, even though Dameon Pierce is on a great offense, even though he just stinks.
But that's more like what you're talking about. That I'm surprised that we don't see some deals on some of these older guys to go and get Tyjae Spears before something happens. So
yeah, and so like with the Breece Hall, like what I'm thinking there is I'm a contender. I'm going to have a late first round pick. I'm going to go get Breece Hall now. And yeah, I'm probably going to, take my medicine because he's not really going to do too much for me right now. But the next year, even if I don't have, I get Breece Hall instead of the 110, 111, 112. I'm totally fine with that. It's going to be much harder to do it next year when Rodgers is back. The hype is coming, and he's just going to probably be worth an early first. I feel like right now you could get him for a little bit.
Yep. Agreed. All right, let's move into my running back target. Mine's a little bit higher end right now. Well, it's not as high end as Breece Hall was, I guess. But currently this guy is third in rushing yards in the NFL. He has the fourth most receptions at the running back position, and he's finally being used in a manner that we always hoped he had been ever since he got drafted into the league as a Detroit Lion, and that is none other than DeAndre Swift, current running back for the Philadelphia Eagles. This dude's still on his rookie deal. He's going to be a free agent next offseason. So multiple reasons here I think this guy's a buy. One, he's going to help your fantasy team immediately. From a volume perspective, from a scoring perspective, he's on one of the best offenses in the game, and he's getting most or the bulk of the work, and he's looking really good while he's doing it. Not to mention the fact sometimes, by sometimes I mean all the time, there are giant peaks in running back value in the offseason that they're going to be a free agent. right? So as they're moving into that, there's all the hype. Oh, where's he going to go? He's going to be the lead guy. You can use all of those narratives to sell him at a premium in the offseason if you don't think that he's going to land in a position that's going to help you. So I think it's a win-win to go look at DeAndre Swift. So then I say, man, what if this guy what if he's just too expensive? Maybe the price would keep me from buying him, and I just don't see it right now. If you think DeAndre Swift last offseason or the season before, you're paying multiple first-round picks plus players for this guy. You can get him for a singular 2024 first right now. You can get him for Gabe Davis and Nick Chubb. Like, these are trades I am definitely looking at doing, especially if I'm in a win-now type situation. And to be honest, I don't think it's bad for even a rebuilding type of squad because he's a young guy. Now, would I suggest going and buying a running back in a rebuild team? No, I would never advocate building your team that way. But from a value perspective, I'm not going to tell you it was a silly value swap to move a singular first for DeAndre Swift right now. So, Dave, talk me off the ledge. I know I've been the Swift truther or the believer for a long time. Is he a guy that you could see buying right now?
Yeah, I'm a little concerned about buying him for a late first. You don't know what the future is for him. I believe he's a free agent. Most likely he could end up back. He also could end up on a committee, and he's kind of on a committee right now. But I'm okay with doing it. I think that your running backs are hard to find. You're gonna have to pay for them. But if I can get away with it, for 2 seconds or something like that, it just comes down to price. And it's just with any of these running backs, even Breece Hall. Like, I'm not paying an early first for Breece Hall. I'm not playing a first and a second for Breece Hall.
Dude, I pulled up trades when you said Breece Hall. The first one that popped up, 3 first-round picks, a 24, a 25, a 26 for Breece Hall. I'm like, nope, we're just moving right along.
When we say trade for these guys, you make an attempt to trade for them. You can't, if you can go get Austin Eckler or Christian McCaffrey or some of these guys, even they're older but cheaper, like Josh Jacobs is a good buy. Tony Pollard's a good buy. Like, all these guys, like, the problem is most of them are just 1-year rentals. Even Derrick Henry, like, if you can go get Derrick Henry for a second-round pick, like, yes, like, go do that. The answer is neither, man. Don't start either of those guys.
You got Watson against Baltimore. Like, that's Bryce Young's non-startable, period. Like, I don't think it matters.
CBS Sports is savages. They put up the most touchdowns that he's thrown. He's thrown 3 touchdowns to Adam Thielen, and he's thrown 2 to Kenny Moore. That's the second most touchdowns by anyone from Bryce Young is Kenny Moore at 2 last week. So this is the Dynasty show, but I will go with my quarterback rankings for this week, and let's just see who I have. Who I have. But before we do that, we're going to check in with Game Time. And Game Time, we've all been there, whether it's an anniversary, whether someone's coming to visit, whether it's a birthday. You want to do something special. And so Game Time allows you to do that. Buying tickets can be stressful. Game Time is a fast and easy way to buy tickets for all sports, music, comedy, and theater near you. With killer deals on last-minute tickets with best guaranteed prices. You can stop stressing over tickets and start getting hyped for the fun. That's exactly what we need to do. We got, friends coming in. That's what we're doing. We're going to get some tickets, going to see a comedy show downtown Indy, and using Game Time so we can save some money while we're doing it. You can do the same thing if you just download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CFBX for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code is CFBX for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last-minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed.
Yeah, and I also, we're the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. We're talking about sports gambling constantly, and you always are looking to get an edge. And if you haven't, you need to get out there and check out Hall of Fame Bets. Win bigger by betting smarter this NFL season with Hall of Fame Bets, the sports betting analytics platform for parlays, player props, and game lines. Research every NFL, NBA, MLB, and soccer bet with historical stats and data. All you have to do is enter your parlay idea into Hall of Fame Bet's revolutionary parlay optimizer tool and get hit rates broken down by leg as well as an expected probability for the entirety of the parlay. Sort all your players by hit rates for any bet to learn where your players are hot and which picks have value. So stop betting in the dark and join over 30,000 users researching with Hall of Fame Bets to craft more intelligent, data-driven parlays. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app or visit hofbets.com and use our promo code SGPN to get 50% off your first month delay. Today, start researching, start winning with Hall of Fame Bets.
So, yeah, the answer to your question, Jamie, I have Deshaun Watson 2 spots ahead of Bryce Young, but the only people I have below Bryce Young, are Tyson Bagent, Mac Jones, Kenny Pickett, Zach Wilson, Aiden O'Connell, Tommy DeVito / Matt Barkley. And I could probably move Kenny Pickett above those guys, but this is just such a rough group. I want to say Deshaun Watson is the easy pick, but it's not. But he is my pick. So to go to receivers, I want to throw a guy in there, and you may have to be patient with this one, but JSN. And so Jackson Smith-Njigba, the usage has not been great. It's not. But we cannot forget about the talent, and it hasn't been an issue of him not playing well. It's just he's buried on a depth chart on a team that really has – the offense hasn't been good. The offensive line's been banged up. Geno's regressing, and we're also seeing him third in line in targets, which makes sense on a run-first team. And so you're not seeing what you need to see. And so I put my rankings on Reddit, and, that's always fun. And so they were the ones that were laughing at me when I had Addison the same or above JSN this offseason, where I was an idiot. Now I'm an idiot because JSN is not so far below those guys. It's 10 weeks in. We wish we would have seen more. I get it. But JSN is just being like, he's just a piece right now. And so Tyler Lockett, he's going to be a free agent coming up. He's also 31. DK Metcalf, he's there for the long term. We obviously need to know what's going on long term for the quarterback. Geno's there for this year and next year, but they need a long-term solution at quarterback. But I am looking at JSN going, man, people are so fast to jump ship and so fast to panic. Like I have him right there with Addison, pretty much in the same tier. Addison's really above him for a lot of people. You could trade Addison for JSN plus. You could trade Puka. You could get JSN plus for Puka. And so for me, I'm going to check in and see if they're panicking and take advantage of it.
Yeah, I mean, the price, it kind of depends on who you go to. So there's some really nice trades in here from a get JSN at a really good cost perspective. So JSN for Damian Pearson, Quentin Johnston. I'm smashing that for JSN all the time. I'm not even, there's no hesitation, right? I'm saying thank you afterwards. Now there's other ones like Josh Downs and a 24 first for JSN. Now I'm starting to get a little, I don't know that I'd take that. That's a little pricey. We've seen Josh Downs look really, really, really good right now. And you're getting a 24 first on top. So Dave, where are you at with that Downs and a 24 first for JSN?
Yeah. That's probably fair price. I mean, you're looking, and if it's a mid or early first, I'm taking the other side. If it's a late first plus Downs, I'm okay with doing it. But right now, Downs is out producing him. But I do, you're going to see a change in offense when Anthony Richardson comes in. You could see Michael Pittman take over as the targets. Right now, Downs is working really well with Minshew, but he's still the number 2 in that offense. JSN, he could be moving up the depth chart here pretty quickly.
Yeah, and I've got one here that I think is a really, really nice rebuild type of move, right? Let's say you're in a rebuild and you got A.J. Brown, but you got nothing else, right? Would you rather have A.J. Brown and keep him, or would you rather have Brandon Ayuk, JSN, and a 24 first?
Mm. Yeah, I'm taking the rebuild side.
Yeah, right. Like that's a great rebuild move right there. I get it. It hurts to get rid of AJ Brown, but that is a hella good offer for a guy that we're going to talk about right now. And that's Brandon Ayuk, who is my guy that I want to buy right now. He's currently the Dynasty wide receiver 16 per DLF. But listen to some of these metrics. Second in yards per route run, only behind Tyreek Hill. First in yards per reception among wide receivers who have 47 or more targets. Third in ADOT among that same group of wide receivers. A 20% target share. Like all of these things are saying what you and I talked about with Brandon Ayuk being 2 rounds behind Deebo Samuel made no sense. Do not draft. We talked about over and over and over again. Do not draft Deebo. Take Ayuk 2 rounds later. And here it is coming to fruition like we talked about. When I can go and get Brandon Ayuk for a 2025 first-round pick, I'm taking that. When I can get Brandon Ayuk for Gabe Davis and Trey McBride, I'm going to do that. When I can get Brandon Ayuk for Javonte Williams, I'm going to do that. Dave, out of any of those 3 trades, are you holding the other side and selling Brandon Ayuk?
No. And Ayuk is, I finally got my first Debo share the other day. He was like tossed in on a Sam Howell trade because I was selling Sam Howell. But I got so much Brandon Ayuk. It was so sad because I had to take him out of my lineups last week. But I'm so happy to bring him back in the lineups. And I'm just like, I think he's my 3rd most rostered receiver. Just been an Ayuk guy for a while, and it's great to see it. And looking at Matt Harmon's reception perception as well as PFF, he just constantly grades extremely high, and regardless of who's throwing the ball, and so it's great to see. But yeah, Ayuk's definitely someone that I'd buy, and I'd use some of these higher names guys to do it. And like last year, Brad and I, like we, got in arguments about some of these 2s, the Waddles and the Higgins and the Smiths. And I would trade those guys for Ayuk plus. Yep. And now he's leapfrogged those guys at this point. Brad, is there any other receivers you want to bring up?
Yes, actually. So I went back. I've gone back and forth on this guy for a while, and it's going to be Nico Collins, wide receiver for the Houston Texans. And the more I watch, the more I think that team is going to bring him back after next season. So he's a free agent in 2025. And I think they're showing that this guy can be the guy in that offense and grow with CJ Stroud. He's currently the Dynasty wide receiver 38. I hope you cannot hear that phone ringing in the background.
We all know that sound. It's all good. That's somebody calling to make an offer.
Yeah, they heard me talking about Brandon Ayuk, and it's coming in. So, hey, look, he's 3rd in yards per reception among that same group we talked about with Brandon Ayuk, 47 or more targets. He's 6th in yards per route run. And here's 2 of the things that I really, really like about Nico Collins. He has a very high ADOT at 12.2 yards. However, not only is he being targeted heavily down the field, he's not a Mike Williams guy who's catching it and falling down, because he leads the league in yards after catch per reception at 8. So this is a guy that's getting open downfield and creating some yardage after the fact, and I absolutely love it. And his price is still dirt cheap because people just don't believe that he is going to be a long-term option, and that's where I'm at right now. Nico Collins for Jaden Reed and Trey McBride. Dave, I know you're a Jaden Reed guy. Where are you at on that trade?
Nico all day.
Nico or Cole Kmet?
Nico. Poor Cole Kmet.
Yeah, right. Nico or a 2nd and Alvin Kamara?
Yeah, I mean, that one, I'm still going to go Nico. I mean, long-term value, I think, but I can understand why someone would make that move. You have a plethora of receivers. Nico's your 4th or 5th, and you need that running back in the 2nd round pick. there's some really good receivers next year in the draft.
Yeah, and that's how that feels, right? You've got a really solid team. Nico was never anybody's 1 or 2 coming into this season. So moving him for a pick plus, I think, is a great move. And to go get a guy like Alvin Kamara, who is really, really good still, to be able to plug into your lineup is a nice kind of, hey, I've got a pick for some value in the future, and I've got a piece that is really plugging in right now, so I don't lose that value. So
yeah, and I'll plug in one of your guys. And so I almost said it earlier, and I know it sounds crazy to go buy Bijan Robinson, but I'm buying Falcons. If I'm rebuilding, I'm tearing down. Drake London is a great target. Actually just got an offer for Drake London in our league, one of our leagues, Brad, and I would have to give up Dalton Kincaid and some older running backs, Gus Edwards and Kareem Hunt, but I have to give up Dalton Kincaid to get Drake London. So it's a tight end premium league. It's something I need to consider. And so Arthur Smith is just one of those. I put out a GIF, if you've seen Parks and Rec, where like he gives the permit and it just says, I can do what I want. That's Arthur Smith. He just does what he wants. He goes to the beat of his own drum. And at the end of the day, I know that he's been winning some games, but every time he loses a game, it's getting closer and closer to him getting booted. And I would love to see, imagine this, Brad. Imagine, just close your eyes. Deion Sanders and Shedeur Sanders in the Atlanta Falcons next year. How fun would that be? How fun would that be for Kyle Pitts and Bijan Robinson and all those guys? Atlanta Falcons fans would absolutely love it. It's an HRPR dream to have Deion Sanders return to the ATL. But Arthur Smith he's going to be out of there soon. And Drake London and those guys, I mean, it's like, what do you do? Like, I know, and Heineke, I think, is going to help Drake London a little bit, but you just, like, the GM and the head coach are normally on the same page. And it's like the GM is going and buying all of these great things. And the head coach is just like, I don't need that fancy stuff. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it the hardcore way. And It's like, he's got these fancy tools and nice cars just sitting there.
He's got a Ferrari, but he chooses to use the 73 Ford LTD. All right.
Yeah.
Like that's what we're rolling with right now.
Bijan Robinson has 1 goal line carry this year. 1.
It's gross, man. It's
so
gross.
Go get Drake London. So sold London, Ridley for and a late 24 second for Marvin Harrison. Yeah. I'm down for that, man.
I just love Drake London, man. I want him everywhere I can get him right now. Like,
yeah, he's definitely a buy, but Marvin Harrison Jr., like, you had me at that.
You had me at hello.
Yeah, you had me at hello, Marvin Harrison. And so he's got a brother coming out, Jet Harrison. He's really good. So Schultz, I'm going to go with Dalton Schultz here. And I'll throw a bonus one because we don't have it on the list, Jake Ferguson. These guys are really, like, flying under the radar, but they're really good. And I know, like, everyone's talking about Taysom Hill and everyone's talking about Dalton Kincaid and Laporta. Like, Laporta and Kincaid are like, they're top 5 dynasty tight ends right now. Schultz has quietly been really, really good. And what I love to see is that he's doing it on a different team. It's not just because of Kellen Moore or Dak Prescott or whatever. He's doing it, and he's getting better as the season's going on. He's definitely earning himself a big contract, whether it's in Houston or somebody else. And you just love to see it when a guy is able to do it in 2 different places with different quarterbacks, different situations. And so Schultz is a buy for me. Tight ends are really, really hard to find. And you got guys with bigger names, Dallas Goedert, David Njoku, Pat Freiermuth. I'll take Schultz over those guys. Like, Schultz he's still young, and right now he's in a fantastic situation. And I can imagine that they're going to try to bring him back. He's doing so well in this offense. He's got such a nice nice connection with CJ Stroud. I was watching a video about Stroud talking. He said, I went in the huddle. I told Dalton what to do. And it was a whirly bird. And he just we literally made up the play. He said, we called the play. We didn't really run the play. I just told him what he needed to do. He did exactly what I asked him to do. Touchdown, game-winning touchdown. And you saw it again this weekend. So Dalton Schultz and then, Jake Ferguson. He's quietly been really, really good.
Yeah, mine are two rookies. You talked about Dalton Kincaid already. I think you've seen with Dawson Knox out, he's had 8 targets, 7 targets, 11 targets. And with tight end premium being more and more of a popular platform from a scoring format, I'm looking for a guy who's going to get that. And right now, he's the second option behind Stephon Diggs. And the more that comes to fruition, the more time they get with that. I don't care who they bring in the offseason if they choose to not keep Gabe Davis and some of these other pieces around him. So I think Dalton Kincaid is a guy that you just need to go look at. Now, the metrics are not good, right? 1.3 yards per route run. His ADOT is 4 yards. It's not good if you look at those metrics. But when you just look at him on the field, you can see he is an athlete. It's just the way they're using him. And if he gets peppered with that many targets on a weekly basis, I really don't care how far down the field are, because I have a great baseline from a tight end perspective. And Luke Musgrave is another one of those guys that you just look, he doesn't have great metrics. But if you watch, I go back to week 1, he had down the field targets over and over again. And with Jordan Love and the Green Bay Packers offense kind of falling apart throughout the remainder of this year, he's still a guy that we're seeing kind of really be a good rookie tight end. He's got, really good yards after the catch. He's getting his ADOT's pretty decent from a tight end perspective. And again, like I said, you've seen some targets that are down the field up the seam. I'm trying to remember who it was they played. Was the game where they were up? Was it it may have been the Saints. They were up a couple touchdowns, and the Saints. It was the Saints game. There was probably it probably would have been a 70-yard touchdown. It was 30 yards down the field, wide open, up the seam, and the ball just soared over him. He had split the 2 safeties, made a really good move. That's what you're going to get out of Luke Musgrave. And I had to warm up on him because I was not high on him coming out, right? Just because of the lack of tape and what you could really see that he could do. But the more you go and you watch him and don't pay attention to the stat line, this kid can be really, really good asset for the Green Bay Packers and somebody that they can build around. So I think he's a guy you can get very, very cheap right now and somebody you should pay attention to.
Yeah, I got him for third. And so he's already, a borderline streamable tight end. Next year should be better. You have these guys that are actually they're starting pieces. And what you want is a tight end that's top 3 in the target tree. Top 2 is what you really want. Mark Andrews, TJ Hawkinson, Travis Kelce. You want someone that's going to be, as far as a target percentage, target share, is in the top 3. And that's where Musgrave could easily be in this, where Christian Watson doesn't get a whole lot of targets. Jaden Reed, Dobbs, they're still trying to fill themselves out. And so I like that call. And so just a little bit as far as sells, obviously for me, quarterbacks is a difficult position. But you got some quarterbacks that are playing well, but they're really lame duck quarterbacks. And there's a whole list of them. For me, I'm going to buy and sell Josh Dobbs. And so Dobbs, I think he's fantasy relevant already. Justin Jefferson is a week or 2 away. He's got a really nice setup on a team that's trying to compete for the playoffs. I really like him, and I just traded him. And it was an early third, and the guy is a super nice guy and was like, "Are you sure about this?" And I was like, "Yeah." I got literally nobody because I have 4 quarterbacks on the IR and Jalen Hurts on bye. So yes, I'm sure about this. Give me him. It's Brad's third in a rebuild team, so It's a 301. But you can have it. I'll take Dobbs. But on the other side of it, I would do the same thing. And then another guy would be Baker Mayfield. He's playing really well, and you can probably get a second-round pick for Baker in a Superflex league, and he could easily be the guy next year, but he also could be the guy and they draft a quarterback and then he's, replaced the midway through the season kind of a deal. We've seen that with Baker. But we're 10 weeks in, and everyone's kind of waiting for the wheels to fall off because it's Baker. But, I mean, it's pretty good, and it's a pretty good situation, and the defense is just getting worse. This defense is bad. This secondary is really bad. CJ Stroud just destroyed them. Will Levis is about to destroy him this weekend. Yeah. Brad, any sells at quarterback?
Not at the quarterback position for me. I mean, you talked about all the guys that are kind of the sells. The one that is not a glaring sell to me, but somebody that I've just kind of cooled off a little bit on is Dak Prescott. If I'm not liking what I'm seeing out of him, and I think we've seen the best of Dak in the past. So I'm probably looking to move away from him a little bit. It's not a guy I've done a bunch of digging and okay, what do the metrics say? But I just don't think he looks comfortable. Something is going on. Maybe I'm just a little too quick to judge based on the new offensive coordinator and the play calling and all that. But right now, he just doesn't look the same to me. And he's a guy I'm looking, even though his statistics are there from a fantasy perspective, he's a guy I'm looking to probably try to move away from.
Yeah, and as far as running backs, we talked about this last year. I mean, just because a running back is 23, 24 years old, don't think that they're safe. Tyler Algier was not safe. I was wrong with a few guys. There was a few guys that were safe. You saw Pacheco and Rashad White. I unloaded those guys. They end up getting the job. But then you got guys like Brian Robinson and Dameon Pierce. You probably wish you sold Dameon Pierce last year when you could have moved him for a first, because now you're going to have to pay someone to take him off of your team. And so there is a lot of running backs coming in, and a lot of teams are just moving to committees. That one extra game, the way the league is going, it's really hard to find a guy that's going to get over 20 carries a game. And you just got to kind of live with that. So for me, I'm selling running backs. Of course, you're selling the older guys, the Derrick Henrys, the Alvin Kamaras, the Aaron Jones, the Joe Mixon. But I'm still like, I don't care. James Cook and those guys, if I don't need them, I'm moving them, because next year I'm going to be drafting somebody else, and I'm probably drafting somebody that's going to be taking their job.
Yeah, so I've got a young guy, right? You talk about James Cook. For me, it's Ramondre Stevenson. And there's so many unknowns and clouds over New England right now. I just don't know that I trust. And you have some selling points that you can use. He's 5th in receptions at the running back position. PFF has him ranked as the 9th best running back by metrics. But out of the top 12 running backs currently by PFF, only Rashad White, who is also not like this explosive runner, has less breakaway runs than Ramondre Stevenson. He has 2 of greater than 15 yards all year long. Like that's not very good. He's a free agent after next season. So then you got a free agent running back. He'll be age 27 almost at that point. So I'm looking to move him, assuming the price is there. So let's talk about a couple things from price. Would you move Ramondre Stevenson right now for a 2024 first?
No. Oh, would I move him for it?
Yeah.
Yes, I would.
Yeah, I would take the first all day long. Yeah. Yep. Would you rather have James Cook in a second or Ramondre Stevenson?
James Cook in a second.
Yeah, so I'm taking what I can get out of Ramondre Stevenson right now, if this is the price I can go get, because I don't think it has anywhere to go but down, to be honest. I don't know that he returns back to what we kind of hoped he was going to be after what we saw last season in his run with the Patriots. So I am selling Ramondre Stevenson hard and fast right now.
Yeah, and I can't blame you for that. So as far as tight ends, this guy actually plays every position. You can sell him at every position. It's Taysom Hill. Taysom Hill is absolutely on fire, and he's the same thing as Dobbs. You can make an argument to buy him because you probably need a tight end. And you can put him at quarterback in some leagues, in your super flex leagues. And I'll tell you right now, I'm trying to lose. I have Taysom Hill as my QB1 in Superflex, and he's doing so damn well. I had to trade him to stop winning games. He was outscoring Bryce Young every single week.
Oh, man.
I'm like, it's a tight end premium, but I'm like, man, somebody take him off my roster. I'm sick of winning games. Like, take him. But like Taysom Hill is a guy that you could, and he's been a top 10 tight end for a month. Every single time. The one time he threw a touchdown and ran for a touchdown. He's tight end. He ran and threw for a touchdown. Like, I don't. It's just unbelievable, and it really is hurting Derek Carr's value. It really does, because he's such a threat in the red zone. But it's good for your fantasy team. But I mean, that's not going to continue. So I'm going to trade him if I can, and trade him while I can.
Yeah, I don't have anything. I have nothing of value to add, I think was the quote from last time. So
all right. Well, everybody, as always, good luck this season.
Cheers.
Thanks, Jamie.